What is going on, everyone, and welcome to r/EntitledParents. Now, today's video is a bit of a weird one. Let's just say that it involves an ankle injury, but it also involves me talking about my ankles and me standing on a wobbly board and nearly falling over. If you don't know what I mean, then just stay tuned, right? Because it doesn't make any sense at this moment in time, but you're going to love it. Anyway, let's get into our first story. Entitled Mum wants me banned from football because her daughter broke my ankle. So this happened when I was about 11 or 12 years old. I played for a local girls' football/soccer team as the goalie. We played on a field not far from my house for home games. We went up against another local team in the county tournament. This team had a girl on it who I'll call Nikki. Nikki's mother, the entitled mum of this story, was a known problem. She'd scream if her daughter was so much as touched and had been known to be threatening to both parents and players. Nikki, on the other hand, was lovely, and we actually knew each other from school. There was a friendly sort of rivalry between us. About halfway through the first half, Nikki came at goal, and we ended up both going for the ball at the same time. Her foot connected hard with my ankle, and I immediately knew it was broken. Nikki had apparently heard the break and helped me to the ground, yelling for help. When I looked down, my foot was at a very strange angle. Both coaches helped me off the pitch, Nikki beside me holding my hand, both of us crying. Other players were gathering round, but the coaches told them to step back and give me some space. My parents appeared and sat with me while my team's coach called for an ambulance. At this point, the entitled mum appears. I hear her before I see her. "What's going on? Nikki, get back on the fields!" Nikki replied, "Mum, I broke OP's ankle. I want to stay with her. I'll be red carded anyway." For those of you who don't know, usually if there's a foul, you get a yellow card, and 2 yellow cards cause you to be red carded and sent off. However, if a foul is particularly bad or causes serious injury, you're red carded straight away. Red carded? Why? Because she didn't get out of the way in time? My mum then replied to the entitled mum, "No, because it happened. I don't think Nikki meant for it to happen, but it still did." "Well, I think your daughter did this on purpose to make Nikki look bad. I bet she's faking it." At this point, I'm still crying and I'm in too much pain for patience. "If you think I can make my ankle bend like that myself, then you're stupid. How dare you?" She then turns to the coach. "I want the police here too, for defamation of my daughter's character." At this point, the referee comes over to check how I am and to let Nikki know that, as she thought, she's red carded. Nikki doesn't seem to care, but her entitled mum explodes. "You can't red card my daughter. Red card that little dog. In fact, ban her from the game. She's putting it on purpose. Look." At this point, she kicks my ankle with her foot. It's not hard, but still agony because of the break. I screamed and my mum jumped up to take the entitled mum on. The other team's coach had to get between them to stop a fight. An ambulance shows up during this, and the paramedics come to help me. They managed to get both Nikki and me laughing and helped secure my ankle so as not to cause more injury. My dad told them about what this entitled mum had done, and one of the paramedics shook her head and said, "You can't help stupid, I guess." The police also showed up while I was being sorted out. I didn't see this part, but was told about it by other players later. The entitled mum started yelling that my mum and I should be arrested for defamation. However, after being told by several witnesses what had happened, the entitled mum was arrested for assault. I was taken to hospital in the ambulance, my mum riding with me and dad driving the family car. It turned out that I had a break in 2 places in my ankle. I have a strong suspicion that one of the breaks was the result of the entitled mum's kick, though that can't be proven. I had to wear a cast for 6 weeks and missed a week of school. Nikki and other members of both teams came to visit me at home in the following days. The entitled mum was cautioned and released, but was issued with a lifetime touchline ban by the team's coach. She apparently tried to show up at a couple of games, but other parents made her leave again. Thankfully, Nikki is still lovely and we remain friends to this day. Now, some of you long-term viewers of my channel may know, I have spoken about this before, that something very similar to me happened to OP in this story, and that is why I simply had to read this one out to you guys. I was playing football when I was in university in a proper 11-a-side match, and some guy on the other team came through me, just absolutely destroyed me, slide tackle right through my right ankle, which dislocated it. He also, like OP in this story, got straight red, well, Nikki in this story, got a straight red card, but yeah, I went to hospital and my ankle was dislocated. Fortunately though, it wasn't wasn't broken. That is a lot worse. Anyway, OP, I hope you recovered. The problem with ankle injuries, though, I mean, for me anyway, is that they last for such a long time. I've still got issues with my ankles now. Like, they ache quite often. And I've actually, let me just go and get something that I've bought to help me with my recovery. You see this, everyone? Yeah? I'll tell you what you do with this. You stand on it and you balance. Oh, what, you want a show? All right, coming right up. Yes! So you stand on it and... Right, my chair's in the way. All right, so you stand on it and then you've got to try and balance. As you can see, I'm not very good, but it's good for your ankles. Anyway, enough of that. Let's carry on. Now moving on to our second story, random mother is very entitled and believes she has the authority to check my ID and stop me from leaving a store. I'm not going to do the car stuff, it's all a bit cringe to be honest, yes thank you. Now, I've just started university in Swansea, Wales in the UK. I live and grew up in London, England, and we don't get many Karens in the UK, especially in London, because people just don't have time for that stuff. Wow, that actually explains it. I was thinking to myself, you know what, yeah, you're right, we don't have too many Karens. I think it is because people just don't have time for that rubbish, and if it does happen, English people probably just say, you know what, F off, and get it over with. Anyway, that being said, I would have expected for it to be more likely to have this interaction in London as opposed to Swansea. Yeah, Swansea is a nice little city, you know, in Wales. Everyone in Wales is pretty much quite nice. When I came here, I assumed that being a predominantly white area, I would encounter some racism, being of South Asian descent with brown skin. But I was pleasantly surprised to find everyone is really nice and helpful, and much more welcoming than London. There was one incident though in a beef eater restaurant. That's like a weird restaurant with a pub bar attached to a 3-star hotel chain in the UK, where everyone was staring at me as I moved about, and I defo felt the xenophobic vibes, but anyway. So, I'm at the big Tesco in town, a supermarket chain the company owns/owned Fresh and Easy in the US, okay, and I'm buying some food and homewares like frying pans and stuff, and with that, I'm buying a load of alcohol for the flat, of course. I'm talking 2 bottles of Baileys, large bottles of vodka and white rum, Disaronno, an 18-pack of Corona, Jägermeister, as well as Coke, Red Bull and soda water. It's not enough to fill a bar, but still a fair bit for just one person to buy. As I'm paying at the till, the checkouts, I have my driving license as ID ready to show the cashier. I'm 19, yeah I have a pretty babyish face, and I am pretty small, so I always expect to get ID'd. But for some reason, the guy doesn't ask to see my ID, and I pay and start loading my shopping back into my trolley. As I'm doing so, the woman behind me with her teenager, maybe 15 to 17 years old, starts speaking to the cashier. She was English, not Welsh, and the tone of her voice told me everything I needed to know immediately. Karen alert. She starts whining at/scolding him, asking why he didn't check my ID. The young cashier also seemed to realise this wasn't going to be a fun interaction, and responds saying that I've shopped here before and he knows that I'm of age. I don't know if that was BS or not though, because I don't recall seeing him before. The woman continues to berate him, telling him it sets a bad example to her kid because it shows him that he can get away with buying drinks underage and using fake IDs. If you see a situation like that, just teach your son not to do that. Don't come at me when you know no facts. At this point, I'm done loading my shopping and decide not to engage and leave. She instantly forgets the cashier and blocks my way, asking me to show her my ID and my bank card. I politely tell her she has no rights, but then she loses her head. She doesn't scream or raise her voice significantly, but her tone becomes incredibly aggressive, and she starts pointing the finger at me and accusing me of buying alcohol whilst underage. I tell her I am of age and I have every right to purchase what I just did, and if she has an issue, she can go find the manager, because she, a fellow customer in the store, has no jurisdiction over me. The cashier himself decides to call for a manager and apologises to me. I notice the kid now, and he gives me a stern look, but I'm pretty sure it was just a side with his mum, and that he was also uncomfortable about the whole ordeal. The manager comes over and asks the cashier what's wrong, and lo and behold, the unbearable female dog interrupts the lad and starts berating the manager. The manager listens a little, stops her for a sec, and turns to me and asks for ID. I give it to him, he checks it, he's happy, but as he goes to hand it back, the woman snaps at him with an expectant look on her face and says something like, "Sorry, but I'd like to check it myself." Not even a please. He gives it back to me anyway, which triggers a visible storm of anger within her, and she then proceeds to block his way and start scolding him about poor customer service, illegal business activity, and more. The cashier tells me to leave, and I do so, because it's 9 PM and I really can't be bothered to deal with this. I hope that woman was kicked out or something, and if so, I'm sad I didn't witness it. But dear God, I feel so sorry for that poor kid. Yeah, like, why is she even getting involved in this situation? It's got literally nothing to do with her. Fair enough if she thinks that the cashier should have been a bit more vigilant and done his job better, because that is true. Like, if someone does look under the age of, I think it's 25 in the UK, then they're more, you know, it's fine to ID them. And actually, it is policy, I think, of the government to check if you're under 25. If you look under 25, that you do have an ID, despite 25 being 7 years over the legal age to buy anything in the UK, I believe. I think it's like under 25 check. I'm not completely sure the slogan, but it's something like that. Anyway, not important. What I mean, though, is she has reason to be annoyed, but she doesn't have reason to berate the manager, berate the staff, and block you into the shop, stopping you from leaving. Like, why is she even asking to see your ID? It's none of her business. You're completely right, OP. She should have just said to her kid, look, don't do that because, you know, don't buy drinks when you're underage, you know, it's an obvious thing. Don't then make a massive deal out of it and do all that stuff and then get angry at everyone just because one kid who you don't even know might be buying underage drinks. Not even that big of a deal, really. Like, who really cares? It's just one kid, you don't know him. Turns out, though, he is over 18, he's 19, so it doesn't even matter anyway. Yeah, I've gone on for long enough. I think I'm going to leave it there. So guys, if you enjoyed this video, please drop it a like, comment down below your thoughts on the stories and my ability to balance. That is more important than commenting about the stories, let's be realistic. If you want more right away, check out this playlist. If you want to subscribe to my channel, I'd be greatly appreciated. Trying to hit 600k by the end of the year, and I'm trying to speak faster every day as well. And if you are new around here and you would like some lovely merch that I do possess, then you can buy that down here as well. It'd be a great Christmas present, and I'd appreciate you massively. All right, with that all being said, I'll see you later.